Hey guys, a very good day to you all. In this video, we are going to study about valence bond theory. Now before starting with this topic, it is important for you all to have a clear understanding about what are orbitals and different shapes of orbitals. And if you all do not know this, then don't worry guys, I've already uploaded a separate video on this. You can find the link of that video in the description box below, or you can simply click on the I button which is present on the right top corner of your screen. Okay, so let's start with the video. The first topic that we are going to cover is the postulates of valence bond theory. Now what is the meaning of postulates? Postulates means suggestions given by valence bond theory. So basically there are 10 postulates that we need to study. Now let me tell you all that this valence bond theory is completely based for formation of covalent bond. It does not involve ionic bond in its theory. It is only dependent on covalent bond. Okay. Now the first postulate is a covalent bond is formed only when half-filled orbitals of two atoms overlap each other. Now what is the meaning of this? Let's understand with the help of an example. So let us consider an example of formation of H2 molecule. Now as we all know, for doing the formation of H2 molecule, we require two hydrogen atoms. So let us write the electronic configurations of two hydrogen atoms. Now when you represent this hydrogen atom with the help of Hund's rule, we draw this box for a 1s orbital, and in this 1s orbital there is one electron present. So we draw a single arrow. Okay. Now similar for this hydrogen atom also, we draw a single arrow because there is only one electron present. Now as you can see over here, in 1s there can be maximum of 2 electrons, but we are having only one electron present over here, which means that this 1s orbital is half filled. Why it is half filled? Because it can have 2 electrons, but we are having only 1 electron. Similar thing is happening with this hydrogen atom as well. Now since there are half filled orbitals, this hydrogen atom is also having a half filled orbital, and this hydrogen atom is also having a half filled orbital. So then they can overlap with each other. So this 1s1 is going to overlap with the 1s1 of another hydrogen atom. That we will see later on. Okay. So now for now, what is important for you all need to check whether both the hydrogen atoms have half filled orbitals. So as you can see over here, both the hydrogen atoms are having half filled orbitals. Now the second point tells us that, second postulate, each overlapping atomic orbital must contain an unpaired electron with opposite spin. What is the meaning of this? As you can see over here, this one electron, let's assume that the upward direction means clockwise direction. Upward arrow means clockwise direction. So this one electron is moving in an clockwise direction, whereas this another electron is moving in an anti-clockwise direction. So for the formation of covalent bond, what we have studied up till now, we have studied the first point, that it must have a half-filled orbital, and the second point now, it must have electrons which are moving in opposite direction. This electron is moving in the clockwise direction, and this electron is moving in the anti-clockwise direction. So we have understood two postulates up till now. The third postulate tells us that the overlapping atomic orbitals must have nearly same, which means comparable energies. Now what is the meaning of this? As we have mentioned earlier, that this 1s1 is going to overlap with this 1s1 to form a covalent bond. Now this 1s and 1s, they both have same energies. Why? Because they are both same orbitals. So it is necessary that the overlapping orbitals, here 1s1 is going to overlap with 1s1. So both of them are going to have same energies. Or if they are not having same energies, if they are not exactly the same orbitals, then they must at least have comparable energies. Okay, the energy difference should not be more. Clear? Now the fourth postulate, the electron spins are neutralized and electron get paired up by overlapping of atomic orbitals. This is the important point that we need to understand. Now see, this hydrogen atom whose electronic configuration is 1s1. 1s is a atomic orbital. and we have represent this 1s orbital by a sphere. As we all know that s orbital shape is spherical. S orbital is spherical in shape. So we represent this 1s1 orbital of this hydrogen atom as here, and we are drawing a upward arrow which indicates that the electron is moving in a clockwise direction. And here this hydrogen atom is represented by 1s1c. The sphere is drawn over here, and we have represent this arrow downwards, which means that the electron is moving in an anti-clockwise direction. Now we have got the shapes, the orbitals of both the hydrogen atoms. We have drawn the shapes of both the hydrogen atoms. Now what is going to happen is that during the formation of a covalent bond, this orbital of one hydrogen atom is going to overlap with the orbital of another hydrogen atom. As you can see over here, they both are overlapping with each other. And guys, can you see over here, there is an overlap that is taking place, and this overlap is called as your covalent bond. So basically, when orbitals of two different atoms, in this case there are two different hydrogen atoms. In any other case, when atomic orbitals of two atoms overlap with each other, what we get is a covalent bond. So this overlapping leads to a formation of a covalent bond. How it leads to the formation of covalent bond, that we will see ahead. Now basically, what was our point over here? See, the electron spins are neutralized. Why they are neutralized? Because one is moving in an anti-clockwise direction and another one moving in a clockwise direction. So obviously the spins are going to get neutralized, and electron get paired up. As you can see over here, they are getting paired up. How they are getting paired up? By overlapping of orbitals, which is taking place over here. Clear with this? Now, the fifth postulate. During overlap of atomic orbitals, as you have seen just now, during the overlap of atomic orbitals, what happens is that electron density increases between two nuclei. As you can see over here, see, this positive sign indicates nucleus. Why? Because nucleus is positively charged. And now as you can see over here, in between the two nucleus, there is an increase in electron density. As you can see over here, there's an increase in electron density. Now due to this, and therefore repulsion between two nuclei decreases. And due to this, what happens is that the repulsion between these two nucleus, this positively charged nucleus, decreases. As we all know that the like charges repel each other. So this positively charged nucleus is going to repel the another positively charged nucleus. But since there is an electron density, this negative density between them, due to which what is going to happen? The repulsion is going to get reduced between these two nucleus. Clear? Now, moving on. Okay. Now due to this, what happens is that there is a liberation of energy. So when the repulsion decreases, there is a liberation of energy, and this liberation of energy increases the attractive forces between the atoms. So what we have studied basically up till now is that, see, this positively charged nucleus are going to repel each other, but since there is an overlap that is taking place over here, due to this there is an electron density over here between both the nucleus, and due to this what happens is that there is a liberation of energy, and liberation of energy leads to the increase in the attractive forces between two atoms. So this was your fifth postulate. The sixth postulate tells us that a bond is formed at equilibrium distance. Now how do you get to know whether there is an equilibrium distance achieved? And a distance at which the system has minimum potential energy and maximum stability is called as an equilibrium distance. So bond will be formed only when an equilibrium distance will be achieved. And how do you get to know whether it is an equilibrium distance? It is a distance where the atoms will have minimum potential energy and maximum stability. So when the atoms have minimum potential energy and maximum stability, at that point a bond is going to get formed. Now moving on with the seventh postulate. The seventh postulate tells us that the strength of covalent bond depends upon the extent of overlap of orbitals between two atoms. As you have seen over here, that for the formation of a covalent bond, the atomic orbitals overlap with each other. So what this seventh postulate tells us that the strength of the bond, the strength of the covalent bond is going to depend on the extent of overlap. So greater the amount in which they overlap, greater will be the strength of covalent bond. If they overlap less, then the strength of the covalent bond will also be less. So this is what seventh postulate tells us. Now moving on with the eighth postulate. The eighth postulate tells us that the number of covalent bonds formed by an atom is equal to the number of unpaired electrons present. Now what is the meaning of this? So let us understand with the help of an example. So let us consider an example of sodium atom. So what is the electronic configuration of sodium? The electronic configuration of sodium is nothing but 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. Now what is the highest energy level over here? Obviously 3 is the highest energy level over here. So we represent this with the help of the Hund's rule, and what we notice is that in this 3s there is only one electron present, and there can be one more electron present, which means that this one electron which is present in this 3s is unpaired. Why it is unpaired? Because it does not have a partner with it. It does not have another electron which was supposed to be over here, okay, in order to become stable. So here, as you can see over here, this electron is unpaired. Now can I say that sodium has one unpaired electron? Now since it has only one unpaired electron, therefore sodium is going to form one covalent bond. Let us consider another example. In another example, we are going to consider 1s2 oxygen. The electronic configuration of oxygen is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. Now here the highest energy level is 2. So let us draw the Hund's rule. According to Hund's rule, we represent this 2s orbital with the help of a square, and in this 2s orbital there are 2 electrons present. So let us draw the 2 electrons with the help of 2 arrows. And in the 2p orbital there are 3 sections. The first section is for 2px orbital, the second section is for 2py orbital, and the third section is for 2pz orbital. So let us draw the 4 electrons which are present in this. The first electron, second electron, third electron, and fourth electron. Now what you notice over here is that this 2py orbital, and 2pz orbital, both of them are unpaired. Now guys, can I say that in an oxygen atom there are 2 unpaired electrons, which means that the oxygen atom is going to form 2 covalent bonds. Clear with this? I hope this point was easy and clear for you. Now moving on with the ninth postulate. Ninth postulate tells us that each atomic orbital except for s orbital has particular direction in the space. Now to understand this point, it is important for you all to know what are shapes of orbital. Now if you will observe the shapes of p orbital, d orbital, what you notice is that they are along a particular axis. As 2py is along the y-axis, 2pz, sorry, not 2py, my bad guys, pz orbital is along z-axis, py orbital is along y-axis, px orbital is along x-axis. So each orbital is aligned in a particular direction. So each atomic orbital has a particular direction in the space. And except for s orbital. Why s orbital? Because s orbital is spherical in shape, and since it is spherical in shape, it is equidistant, it is distributed in equal amount in each direction, x, y, z. Therefore it does not have a particular direction. S orbital does not have a particular direction. Only p, d and f orbitals have a particular direction. If you observe the shapes of the p, d and f orbitals, you will get to know this, that they have a particular direction in the space. Now due to this, covalent bond also possesses directional characteristics. Now how does the covalent bond also gets the directional characteristics? With that we will understand ahead. Don't worry about this. Now moving on with the last postulate, to have a minimum electronic repulsion and maximum symmetry. So as we all know that it is important for the atoms to have minimum electronic repulsion and maximum symmetry. In order to form a bond, the orbitals orient in such a way that they are far apart from each other. Now what is the meaning of this? That you will understand ahead when you will study the VSEPR. Okay, that you will understand ahead. When you study the shapes of orbitals in deep, the angles between the orbit bonds, that will come across in the next video. Here you are not going to understand much. The only thing that you need to understand is that the orbitals are going to align themselves in such a way that there is a minimum electronic repulsion and maximum symmetry. So that thing that you need to remember. This is point you will not get to know in detail in this video. At least you will get to know in another video, the next video. Now, so guys, I hope that you have understood all the 10 postulates in this valence bond theory except the last one. Okay, so you have basically understood 9 postulates. Now moving on with the next topic, that is interacting forces in covalent bond formation. I am going to help you all explain this topic with the help of only one diagram which I have over here. Let's say this is atom number 1 and this is atom number 2, and they both are going to form a covalent bond with each other. Now this nucleus is obviously positively charged, so both of them have a positively charged nucleus. As we all know that similar charges, like charges, repel each other, so obviously the nucleus of this atom is going to repel the nucleus of another atom. Why? Because they are both positively charged. And the similar things happens with the electrons. See, the electrons of this atom are going to repel the electrons of another atom. Why? Because they both are negatively charged, and like charges repel each other. So guys, can I say that there are forces of repulsion between the electrons of both the atoms, and there are forces of repulsion between the nucleus of both the atoms. But guys, there also exist forces of attraction. See, this positively charged nucleus is going to attract the negatively charged electrons of this atom. Similar thing happens over here. This positively charged nucleus is going to attract the negatively charged electrons of this atom. So as can I say that there exist forces of attraction between the nucleus of one atom and the electron of another atom. So we have understood what are forces of repulsion and forces of attraction when two atoms approach each other. Now what is the use of this? See, if total forces of attraction is greater than the total forces of repulsion, then in this case total energy of the system decreases. Total energy system is going to decrease and covalent bond is going to form. So can I say for a formation of a covalent bond, it is important that the total forces of attraction must be greater than the total forces of repulsion. So obviously when two atoms are going to attract each other close towards itself, then only a covalent bond is going to get formed. And the strength of the bond depends on decrease in energy. So as you can see over here, the total energy system decreases and covalent bond is formed. So more the energy is going to decrease, greater strength will be of the covalent bond. Clear? Now moving on. Now it is time for us to understand the types of overlap of atomic orbitals, and with the help of this topic your valence bond theory is going to get clear. Okay, so the first type of overlap that we are going to understand is the SS overlap, and we are going to understand this SS overlap with the help of the example, that is formation of H2 molecule. Now obviously from the heading itself, SS overlap, which means that the S orbital of one atom is going to overlap with the S orbital of another atom. Okay, so the heading itself makes things clear. Okay, now for the formation of H2 molecule, we again require 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay, now we represent them according to Hund's rule. This one electron is moving in the clockwise direction and the another electron of another hydrogen atom is moving in an anti-clockwise direction. Now guys, there are specific things that you need to check according to the postulates that we have studied just now. Okay, So the first thing that you need to check is whether the half-filled orbitals, whether they both have a half-filled orbitals. Since this 1s1 is going to overlap with this 1s1, so whether you need to check whether they have half-filled orbitals. So yes, both of them have half-filled orbitals. See, here there must be one more electron and here there must be one more electron. Clear? The second thing that you need to look out for is whether electrons have opposite spin. So as you can see over here, that this one electron is moving in a clockwise direction and this one electron is moving in an anti-clockwise direction. So obviously they are having opposite spins. The next thing that you need to look out, whether they have same energy orbitals. Yes, one s is having same energy like this one s only. There is no energy difference between them. So this criteria is also satisfied. Okay. Now moving on. This is how the orbitals are going to overlap with each other. We have seen earlier in this video how the orbitals overlap with each other. So this 1s orbital of one hydrogen atom is going to overlap with another 1s orbital of another hydrogen atom, and as you can see over here, there is an overlap that is being taking place, and due to this there is a covalent bond that has been formed. And guys, the bond is formed by axial overlapping. Can you see over here, there is overlapping that is been taking place along the axis of orbitals, hence it is called as a sigma bond. Is clear with this term? Now moving on with the another type, that is pp overlap. Now in this pp overlap, from the heading itself we get to know that the p orbital of one atom is going to get overlap with the p orbital of another atom. Okay, so we are going to understand this with the help of formation of F2 molecule. Okay, so guys, for an F2 molecule you obviously require 2 fluorine atoms. So guys, let us write the electronic configuration of 2 fluorine atoms. So obviously the electronic configuration of fluorine is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Clear? Now what is the highest energy level over here? The highest energy level over here is obviously second energy level over here. Okay, now in the second energy level, this 2s2 orbital is represented by 2 arrows. Why by 2 arrows? Because it has 2 electrons in it. Okay, so we draw 2 electrons over here. Now for this 2p5 orbital, we need to draw 3 boxes. Why 3 boxes? One box for 2px, the another box for 2py, and the third box for 2pz. Now since it has 5 electrons, so let us draw 5 arrows. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now guys, can I say that this 2pz orbital is incomplete? It is half filled. The similar thing happens for this fluorine atom only. Why? Because they both are same, so they are going to have same things. Now first, what you need to check, whether they have half filled orbitals. Yes, they do have half filled orbitals, as you can see over here. The second thing that you need to check is whether the electrons have opposite spin. So as you can see over here, this 2pz electron is moving in a clockwise direction, and this 2pz electron of another fluorine atom is moving in an anti-clockwise direction. So according to this, guys, can I say that they are having electrons with opposite spin? Now the third basic thing that we need to check is whether they have same energy orbitals. Yes, obviously 2pz is going to have same energy as the 2pz in this fluorine atom. So they are obviously having same energy orbitals. In fact, the orbitals are only same, so obviously their energy is also going to be same. So hence the basic conditions are satisfied over here. Then this is how they are going to overlap. See, this is 2px, this is 2py, and this is 2pz. Similarly over here, this is 2px, this is 2py, and this is 2pz. And this 2pz of both the atoms is going to overlap with each other, as you can see over here. Now guys, you can see something over here, as there is an change in the shape of p orbital, this 2p z orbital. Can you see over here? Here the bulge has decreased. This is because p orbitals have dumbbell shape. As you can see over here, they both have dumbbell shape, and hence overlapping takes place in a particular direction, as we have discussed earlier during the postulates. And therefore pp bond has directional characteristics, and when p orbital takes part in overlap, other lobe of p orbital gets reduced as in size. As you can see over here, the other lobe is always going to get reduced. In most of the cases it is going to get reduced. Clear with this? Now moving on with the last type for valence bond theory. In valence bond theory, this is the last type, that is the sp overlap, and we are going to understand this with the help of the formation of HF. So obviously for an HF molecule you require an hydrogen atom, and the electronic configuration of hydrogen atom is 1s1, and for fluorine atom it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. So now we draw the electrons as according to the Hund's principle, Hund's rule. So in this 1s there is one electron present, and which is the highest energy level over here? Here 2 is the highest energy level. So let us draw first 2s2. In 2s2 there are 2 electrons present, and in 2p5 there are 5 electrons present. So 3, 4 and 5. So guys, as you can see over here, can I say that in this hydrogen atom 1s1 is incompletely filled, and this 2pz is also incompletely filled. Now let us check whether they are half-filled orbitals. Yes, they are half-filled orbitals. Hydrogen has 1s1 half-filled orbital, and fluorine has 2pz half-filled orbital. Next, electrons have opposite spin. Yes, this hydrogen electron is moving in an anti-clockwise direction, and the fluorine electron is moving in a clockwise direction. So obviously they have an opposite spin. The next thing, whether they have same energy orbitals. Now there might be a confusion for you that this 1s and 2pz, they both are different. Yes, they do not have same energy orbitals, but according to the postulate they must have either same energy orbitals or either comparable energies. So according to the Aufbau principle, if you do not know what is Aufbau principle, the link is given in the description box below. So according to the Aufbau principle, 1s and 2p have almost similar energies. There is a little difference in the energy. Okay, so the energy is comparable, and this condition is also satisfied. And guys, this is how the hydrogen atom is going to overlap with the fluorine atom. As you can see over here, so this is a 2py, 2px and 2pz of fluorine atom, and this 1s1 orbital of hydrogen atom, and they both are going to overlap over here. As you can see there is a overlapping that has been taking place, and hence another sigma bond will be formed, another covalent bond will be formed over here. Okay, clear with this? Now guys, if you observe one thing over here, throughout the 3 types we have only studied about the single bonds. This is what was told to us by the valence bond theory. So we have not discussed double bonds and triple bonds up till now. We have only discussed the single bonds. The double bonds and triple bonds will come to you in the further topics of this chapter. Okay, so guys, I hope you have liked this video, and if you have liked this video, then go check out my channel where I have uploaded physics and chemistry videos. They might be helpful for you all. And guys, thank you for watching this video.